Let's jump right in. Noah Higuera,
Go, bro.
welcome to the show, man. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming
man.
on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's get started. Let's give the people a little bit of background.
Yeah,
How old are you? Where are you from? And what was your upbringing like?
absolutely. So, as you said, I'm Noah Higuera. I grew up in Oceanside. Still live in Oceanside currently. I'm 20 years old and born and raised here, before the new developers came. So,
Oh, yeah, back when the old parking structure was there, back when
yeah.
it was ghetto, and now it's all been gentrified, and it's actually very nice. So, yeah.
You said it best. Yeah, you said it best. So, yeah, they definitely been beautifying the city and making it super touristy. So, it's pretty cool seeing the new development. Kind of sad, Oceanside. Old Oceanside's kind of
Yeah, it needs it, though. It's time.
It's time, bro.
So what was your upbringing like? What was your family like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from a two-parent household. Super blessed with the relationship that I have with my parents and also just who they are, just the strong pillars that they are in my life. I have two older sisters. So I'm the baby of the family. So come from three kid household. Oftentimes say that, they saved the best for last, they had me. But yeah, my upbringing was it was amazing. Always had such a strong relationship with my parents, and my mom was always there to take care of us, to uh, make food for us, clean up after us, and just to be that nurturer. And my dad
Both
was always
parents
there.
were always in your picture?
So my mom, stay home mom, my whole life, or my whole upbringing, I would say, and my dad just huge provider and protector. We come from a very just traditional background. So my dad was working, and my mom was home taking care of us. So.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You need the father figure and mother figure in the home, and that's something that is slowly going away, and it's very sad to see, but you absolutely need that father to protect you, to show you what it's like to be a man, so that hopefully when you get married one day, you have an idea of what a good man looks like.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about your father for a little bit. What was your upbringing like? What was your experience with your father?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, my dad was always out providing for the family, but he was always very present still. He was always there, coaching my games, always there, cheering the loudest on the sidelines. You'd always recognize him from his laugh. He just has this very just loud and distinct laugh. Most people, I would say nowadays, they look up to influencers or celebrities, and they kind of idolize that as kind of their hero, right? For me, my hero was my dad. Growing up, I always just wanted to be more like him. He was just always just a rock. I mean, just a strong foundation for the family, to where it was, we could, if we were going through something emotional, or if we were going through something, like a loss or something, I would always look to my dad. And it wasn't that he was emotionless. He was just stoic. Yeah. And I think growing up, I didn't really understand at times, but having a man like that in my household and really being able to look up to that was just something that was so amazing and something that I really cherish. So yeah, he's my day one. I love him.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Luckily, I can say that both my parents stayed together my whole childhood, and since they've been married, which has been maybe 18 years old, and they're in their mid-50s now. Oh. But I am very blessed that my parents stayed together, because I did get that duo. My dad, all right, he's not the biggest guy, okay? He's 5'8", 160 pounds, soaking wet, okay? However, if he told me to do something, I would do it.
Absolutely.
He would put the fear of God in me, which was good, because I think he saved me from doing a lot of dumb stuff when I was in my teens, okay? On the other side was my mom. My mom would come up and be like, hey, son, your dad's not a bad guy. He doesn't want to hurt you. But why do you think he did what he did? All right? What did you do to deserve that? So my mom would always come in and comfort me and show me the other side, of things, of why I was disciplined and why my dad was a certain way with me. So I really got that perfect duo, which I think is lacking nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
But would you say your dad was a man of God?
Yeah, so kind of him growing up, he grew up in the church, but he was Catholic. So for him, it was a very traditional faith, a very kind of ritualistic faith. It was more so a religion, but not a relationship. So my dad, when he was married before he met my mom, and through that breakup with his first wife, he found Christ. And so he kind of put aside Catholicism and really just pursued Jesus. He ended up having just diving really deep into intimacy with God and having a personal relationship. And if it wasn't for that loss, who knows how else my dad would have found Jesus.
Mm.
But it was in that hard time, in that wilderness season for him, to where he found Jesus. And so we call ourselves Christian. We abide by by Christianity, but at the end of the day, take your religion, just give us Jesus. That's how we see it. So.
Yeah. So I know that is a popular term in social media nowadays. And in a way, I'm actually kind of happy that culture is going back to Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
because we can go deep in this. Okay. America is not, is no longer a Christian nation. And we can
Right.
talk about that later. But
Right.
in a way, I am glad to see that more people are turning to Christ. And one of those terms is man of God and woman of God.
Yeah.
Now, this is men's mindset, right? I don't know life from a woman's perspective,
Right.
but from a man's perspective, what is a true man of God?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say a true man of God is a man that is willing to leave it all behind to pursue the cross, to pursue Jesus. It's a man who's willing to forsake the wonders and the glories that this world has to offer, to really submit to what the kingdom of God has on hand. So a man of God to me has been my dad, right, as a role model.
What are some characteristics or traits that would identify a man of God? Because to me, I think one of the main things would be integrity,
Yeah.
right? I would say to the younger guys out there, live your life like God is watching, because he is,
Come on.
right? If you think you got away with it, you didn't.
Yeah.
It'll come back and it'll haunt you.
Yeah.
What goes around comes around. And it may not be instantly or 5 years or 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
but when you least expect it, it will come around. So live your life like God is watching. So I would say integrity above all else.
Yeah.
Because integrity in a man is a true man, right? Doing the right thing when nobody's watching. What other kind of characteristics would be identified?
Yeah, absolutely. I say a big one that comes to mind is courage, right? I couldn't imagine a man being a man of God without courage. You read the stories of the Bible and then in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and every warrior, every king, every son, every father that was obedient to the will of God, they all had one thing in common. It was courage. And oftentimes what I've seen is there are a lot of men that kind of run away from the destiny that God has for them. I always say it like this: we can run, but we can't hide. And the amazing thing about God is that He handpicks you. I always say I didn't choose God; He chose me, because He pursued me, He found me.
Mm.
And I think once you realize that God sees you and He knows you and that He created you for such a time as this and for such an amazing purpose, you can't help but just have that God confidence on you, really that aura around you, and in turn you have that courage that is just on the inside of you. So I would say courage first and foremost. It's a huge trait for a man of God.
Good, good. Yeah, I would say a true man of God is a protector,
Mm.
right? Now, what does that mean? To me, that means that I will put everybody else's needs, God's needs, above myself, right? If danger comes through my door, me, as a brother, as a husband, as a son, it's my responsibility to face that danger.
Yeah.
And being a true protector means that you're the first to die, and believe that it's God's will and not yours, and to do it willfully.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's so beautiful about that too is God never puts an expectation on you that He hasn't already done Himself, that He already hasn't lived up to. As you said, a man laying down his life. I couldn't think of a better example to follow other than Jesus. Talk about a man who laid down his life for his people. I mean, lifted high, spread it wide, like He did it. And I think it's such an amazing picture of, his obedience to God costed Him His life. I heard it like this before: Christ died for us so that we could live for Him. And I think it's such a beautiful picture that the gospel paints for us, is that Jesus is a man of His word, and He won't ever expect you to do something that He isn't willing to do Himself, or that He already hadn't done. So when I think of a provider, when I think of a protector, it all points to Jesus. He exemplifies that perfectly, and he's just such an amazing role model that honestly, I I flip through the pages in the Bible and I'm reminded on every single page, Old Testament and New, of just how miraculous, the God that we serve is. And I think it's such an amazing thing.